Start winning at the races with Daily Racing Form's new mobile pass performances, featuring exclusive buyer speed figures and expert analysis and selections. Go to DRF.com/best and get the power of DRF in the palm of your hand. Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Mike Beer, the DRF race of the day for Saturday, June the 27th, race number 10 at Belmont Park. Let's take a look at the field for the Grade 1, just a game. Fillies and mares again, going a mile on the turf. You can download free formulator pass performances for this race on the Race of the Day event page at DRF.com. Chad Brown has 3 entrants in this field. 2 of them, Breeders' Cup winners. The number 6, Uni, makes her seasonal debut. We last saw her winning the Breeders' Cup Mile. The 4, Newspaper of Record, she got back to her best form last time out in the Grade 3 Intercontinental. She, of course, won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf as a 2-year-old in 2018. You've got Stormy, a Grade 1 winner against the boys. Only 7, but a really nice field.
Yeah, really good field of 7 here. Obviously headlined by Chad Brown. It's not surprising that he has 3 in here, Dan, but I'll tell you what, he's got 2 really good ones in the 2 morning line favorites.
Now let's take a look at the Timeform US pace projector for this race, because Newspaper of Record, to me, is at her absolute best when you just allow her to run early. Let her make the lead. Valedictorian is a fast horse. I'm not sure she's as naturally fast as Newspaper of Record. I'm not sure she's as good as Newspaper of Record. But if she goes and pushes Newspaper of Record, she could have a say in the outcome of this race.
I guess that's true. We'll see how they decide to play it. I know that there's been a lot of talk out of the Chad Brown barn that they want to get Newspaper Record to rate a little bit, that she's been a little bit handier in the mornings now as an older horse. I just don't see it, Dan. I mean, she's too fast for Valedictorian early in this race, and I just don't see any way she's not on the early lead in this race.
Beau Recall was always a solid horse when she was based in Southern California for Simon Callahan, a Grade 2 stakes winner, but also often a bridesmaid, rarely a bride. She was turned over to Brad Cox, and she turned the corner last year as a 5-year-old. Multiple graded stakes winner. Her seasonal debut in the Mint Julep wasn't great, but she fell really far behind in that race. Timeform US believes she's going to be far back again. I don't know. I know she does have that kind of kick. I think it would behoove Jose Ortiz to get her a little closer to the pace.
I mean, we'll see how fast they go early, and then we'll just see where she winds up. You're right that she doesn't need to be way out of it at the early part of the race. I just feel like she's a little interested in here, Dan, even though it's a tough spot. You mentioned how good Cox got her last year, and he got her really good. That field she beat on Derby Day at Churchill in the Distaff Turf was a really strong field, and she looked good winning that race last time. Not only was she too far away, but she just got buried in traffic all through the stretch. She never got a chance to run in there. Did not run as poorly as it looks on paper. I actually feel like she's a pretty dangerous horse in here.
Got Stormy, the number 2, reeled off 6 consecutive triple-digit buyer speed figures last year from Mark Cassie. Among those races, a win in the Grade 1 4-star Dave against the boys, a runner-up effort in both the Woodbine Mile and Breeders' Cup Mile, and a win in the Grade 1 Matriarch. Now, she has not approached those races in 3 starts this year, beaten by Rushing Fall last time out at Belmont. I thought the Kilroe was a good race, but I do wonder if the 2019 Got Stormy would have finished that one off.
Yeah, I agree with you. I didn't see any excuse for her not to win the Kilroe. I know it was against Colts and River Boyne was in good form at the time, but she should have won that race. She was clear in the stretch and got run down. She was bad in the Beaugay last time. I know it was a mile and a 16th. It's a little bit far for her, but she was bad in that race. The 2019 version of this horse would make this a super interesting just a game, but she hasn't looked like that horse so far this year.
Valedictorian is a multiple graded stakes winner. We know she likes to utilize her speed. Her last race is a throwout because it was on dirt. 2 starts back, she made the lead. She went fast in the Sand Springs, and she was run down late. If she's pushed hard by Newspaper of Record, it's hard to see her holding off the late runs of an Uni or a Beau Recall. It's just that tough of a Grade 1.
Yeah, I mean, listen, she's been tough at times when she's able to control the pace in her races. That doesn't really seem like it's going to be possible for her in here. That being the case, I don't see how she can win.
Newspaper of record, well, it's been a little bit of a roller coaster ride for this one. She won her first 3 starts like she was going to be the next superstar of racing, including the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf. Her first 2 starts last year at 3, she gets beat at odds on. Then she's way out of it in the Belmont Oaks and doesn't fire. Chad did the right thing. He gave her time. He brought her back going 7 in the Intercontinental, and this is what happened. Newspaper of record showed this field her heels. They turn into the stretch. She is on cruise control and she changes leads beautifully. She earns a 103 Beyer speed figure against a weaker field. Regal Glory's back in here. She's a nice horse, but this is the newspaper of record we've been waiting 2 years for.
Yeah, it was a long time coming. It was nice to see her get back to her really top form, and she certainly did in that race. I mean, right from the start, too, Dan. She broke like a rocket in there, and I read it seemed like he didn't even give a thought to rating her. He just let her go. She went fast all the way around the track, never gave that field a chance. I think it's worth pointing out that she caught her preferred yielding turf in that spot, and she really seems to like that. Maybe on firm turf, she won't be quite as good. But off of that performance, though, you got to be encouraged and you got to be very afraid of her in here.
Regal Glory will be the best price by far of the 3 Chad runners, and all she's done in her career is be 8 of 9 in the exacta with 5 wins. We saw her chase newspaper of record home in vain last time out in the Intercontinental, but it was her first start off of a long layoff. She's a very lightly raced horse. This is only her second start as a 4-year-old. I think Chad can make some money and have some fun with this filly this year. I just think she catches a very tough spot.
Yeah, especially with her 2 stablemates in here. It just feels like she's going to have a really hard time going with either one of those 2 horses. Like you, I'm a big fan of hers. I thought she ran just fine in the Intercontinental. But a race like that's not going to get it done in here.
Uni is explosive. We know that. Her first lady at Keeneland was special 2 starts back, where she was basically last and widest turning for home, and she ran everybody down. And then in the Breeders' Cup Mile, Joel Rosario moved a little early. We turn into the stretch. She's on the outside. She made this 4-wide burst into contention on the turn, 5 wide in the stretch. She's just outside of Got Stormy. They're going to bump off each other briefly in mid-stretch, and Uni then shrugs off Got Stormy. This was a good field, obviously, in the Breeders' Cup Mile. The 4th place horse, Circus Maximus, looked really good winning the Queen Anne the other day at Royal Ascot. Uni missed about a month of training time with a splint issue, and that's somewhat concerning. But I think if she's ready to go, she's the horse to beat. No disrespect to newspaper of record.
I agree with all of that, Dan. I mean, listen, the layoff has to be the major concern with her because she's catching a sharp horse right off the layoff, but her overall form just stands out in this field. You saw her quicken up to win that Breeders' Cup the way that she did last year. Her good race, I think, just might make her a little bit too good, but she does face a very dangerous and sharp horse in her stablemate.
Zaffelli completes this field for Brendan Walsh. She won her first 3 starts in North America for Walsh, and she just missed last time out in the Grade 3 Mint Julep. Now, that was one of those blanket finishes where it's hard to say, well, all 7 horses or whoever was around at the wire ran great, but she's going the right way, and I like that she showed a little bit more tactical speed in that spot.
Yeah, I respect that about her, too. It feels like that's going to benefit her down the line. All in all, and that was a good field, too, in the Mint Julep. But all in all, she got a great trip in there and just got outfinished at the end. I still thought she ran well. I still think she can do better, but she will have to do better. This is a tough spot. Let's take a look at our top picks for Saturday's race of the day. It has implications, to be sure, in this filly and mare turf division. We're both going with Uni in here, despite the layoff. Beau Recall, Mike, you think is a little bit dirtied up based on that troubled trip in the Mint Julep. She has recency over Uni and is going to be a much better price. Yeah, I put Beau Recall in there to try and split the 2 favorites and just see if she can get a better trip this time and then run a good race. Ultimately, I'm going to side with Uni, though. To me, her overall form, it's just too good. We agree. We go with Uni in the Grade 1 Just a Game, race 10 at Belmont on a really nice Saturday afternoon card. It has an approximate post time of 6:08 Eastern. Good luck.